with a new role and a new organisation. Dr. Bryce Edwards joins us now. Bryce, kia ora, good morning.
Morena, Andrew.
So a new role for you, although still very much wading through the muck and mire of politics and policies and all that sort of thing, but doing so as the director of the Integrity Institute. Tell us a little bit about this. What's the new role involved, Bryce?
Yes, so I mean, I've been working as a political scientist and academic for the last 15 plus years. I'm moving out of that essentially. I'm involved in setting up a new organization, the Integrity Institute, which is a research and advocacy organization focused on the political process. So a lot of the things I've already been talking about on your show and writing about for years around integrity issues, the political process, vested interests, corruption, and so forth. So yeah, we're kind of trying to hold power to account, especially where there might be wealthy individuals, entities that are having an outsized role.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the hat I'm wearing now. We'll be doing research. We'll be advocating for a cleaner politics.
And hey, that sounds like a fantastic role, and as you say, not totally dissimilar to some of the other things that you're doing, but a little bit of a sharper focus in that regard, holding politicians to account, particularly shining a spotlight on vested interest there, and the Integrity Institute. Looking forward to more along those lines, and well, kicking off with a couple of reports that have come up in the last wee while. One of which you and I have spoken to. About this issue before, what has happened with the Manurewa Marae, in particular, with census data and some other things. What's the essence of the report's findings, Bryce?
Okay, so just to go back to what was alleged, and we still are dealing with allegations rather than any kind of proven wrongdoing on the side of the Marae and the Marae community organisations around it. But going back to about a year ago, or at least 9 months ago, we had this idea that in South Auckland, the Manurewa Marae had been contracted, along with some other organisations, community organisations contracted to government agencies to deliver COVID-19 vaccination rollout,
Yep.
to collect census forms, and lots of other, especially things in the health area. And that Marae has done some great work for decades, really, in serving the community there. But it's essentially run by the Waipareira Trust, which is an NGO that has these contracts, and the boss of that is John Tamahiri,
Yep.
who is also the president of Te Pāti Māori,
Yep.
and the chief executive until the last election at the Marae, is now an MP for Te Pāti Māori in Parliament, and the allegations were that these community organisations were using some privileged data, especially in terms of census data and also health data from the Ministry of Health, that they could use to help Te Pāti Māori do their canvassing, do their electioneering, work out who to target, allegedly who to send text messages to, who to get out and vote on election day, if you like.
Yep.
And so there were some whistleblowers that worked on that Marae who, passed on information to the media to say, well, this is wrong. And so we've had a number of government agencies now investigating this. And so two of the reports came out yesterday. One was from the Public Service Commission. So this is the agency that oversees all the other government agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, there was a big press conference yesterday, and Sir Brian Roach, the new Public Service Commissioner, presented that report and said, look, the government agencies have let the side down here.
Yep.
So this report wasn't so much about the allegations and whether there was wrongdoing on the part of those community organisations, but whether the government agencies had proper procedures for dealing with privacy and data. So when they got the Marae to go and do the census form collection, did they have proper, protocols to make sure that, that information wasn't then harvested
Yeah.
by someone else? And so the investigation wasn't about whether any wrongdoing occurred, but it found that, those government agencies were pretty badly operating. And so as a result, we've found that the head government statistician has now resigned. Well, he hasn't resigned. He's not seeking further office
Okay.
in another contract as of the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially resigning.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
And the Public Service Commission has told those government agencies, and there were 6 of them, to no longer do any more contracts with those community organisations in South Auckland until this matter is cleared up. And so it's kind of pretty damning,
Yeah.
and has sent some shock waves, even though the allegations aren't proven. But there was another report that came out at the same time yesterday. This is this Department or Statistics New Zealand commissioned an independent investigator to also do a report. His report came out last night as well, and said that he didn't have any definitive answers to those allegations,
Okay.
but there are a number of things he could say, such as on the balance of probabilities, it seemed likely that the census forms had been stored incorrectly and had been photocopied against the rules, and that it seemed likely that they were passed on to for untoward or incorrect purposes. And so that's given a lot more weight to those allegations. And today, the whistleblowers, the people that came up with these allegations, are kind of seeming vindicated.
Yeah.
Even though the saga hasn't finished, because we've still got some other investigations. We've got the police carrying out what could be criminal investigations. We don't really know, but they're carrying on their research. And we now have the Privacy Commissioner starting their new investigation into this. So I think it's going to be a pretty tawdry, sort of saga that continues for a while.
Any comment from the Waipareira Trust or John Tamahiri to these announcements? Or I suppose because the investigation is still ongoing, better to say not much at this stage?
Well, the whole time that this investigation's been on, they have gone to ground. The MP in question hasn't made any comments, really. John Tamahiri, the president of Te Pāti Māori, as well as the person running these organisations, has been disinclined to comment, but he did go on radio this morning. He went on RNZ Morning Report, and he gave a robust sort of denial of all these things. He tried to refute these things, and he also played the card that, sort of suggesting that maybe Māori are being targeted for being Māori, and that this is a case of racial discrimination, and I'm not sure how well that will go down. Obviously with a history of racial discrimination in New Zealand, there'll be some people that will be sympathetic to that, but there'll be a lot of people also thinking, well, this is just a way of trying to get out of a hot spot. And so, I mean, he's essentially said that that Māori organisations should be allowed to participate in the electoral process, and that this concept of conflicts of interest shouldn't apply to Māori organisations.
Wow.
I don't think that's really going to cut it with a lot of people. I mean, it's a fraught, sort of topic, but it's a debate we need to have, and hopefully it won't get too red hot. But once again in New Zealand politics, as soon as the sort of ethnicity element comes in, it kind of gets uncomfortable and difficult.
And hey, there is more to be said on this one, but I think from the reports yesterday, best case scenario, there was perhaps an over-enthusiastic staffer who didn't understand the rules and was doing what they thought was helpful. At worst, this is from the top down. This has been a policy decision from Waipareira Trust or Te Pāti Māori to say, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it. there'll be certainly different outcomes and culpability depending on which of those scenarios turns out to be the case, but certainly one to keep an eye on and something to follow there. Something else that I wanted your comments on, because we've fallen out of the medal placings when it comes to our Transparency International's corruption perception index. We used to be third, bronze medal, very credible, but now we're fourth, and declining integrity, increasing levels of corruption. There's no way you can spin that to say, hey, isn't that great news?
Yeah, so this is a similar topic. Alarm bells are ringing a bit. So every year, the global anti-corruption watchdog Transparency International puts out this corruption perceptions index. They try to sort of, go through the 180 countries of the world, evaluating who's most corrupt, who's least corrupt, who has the most integrity. New Zealand is normally at the top. And so for many years, we've been number one, seen as the least corrupt country in the world. But we've been dropping for a few years. And so this year we've dropped from, third place, as you suggest, from bronze medal off the podium to number 4, which is still pretty good. And so, some people are wanting to look at this, I guess, maybe through rose-tinted lenses and saying, well, 4 out of 180 is
still
pretty
pretty
great.
good. Yeah.
But it's the trajectory that it's going downwards. Like I say, we were number 1. They also score us on a rating out of 100. And I think we used to be around 90, 91 out of 100. Last year, we dropped to 85 out of 100. This year, we're down to 83. So our score is also dropping down.
We're getting to the B+ stage of, in terms
Indeed.
of if we were going to put it in academic terms.
We do need to be A+.
Yeah.
It's really important. And so the worry is that we are, once these things start eroding, it kind of is self-perpetuating. And so it's interesting for me anyhow that Australia has been through this in the past. And so they had their ratings, dropping for the last 10 or 20 years. But then, they kind of had a bit of a shake-up about that and started introducing an anti-corruption commission, started tightening up their political finance laws, all sorts of things. And they have actually started going up. So they're still below New Zealand. I think they're at 10th place, but their trajectory is going up and we're going down. So I think they'll probably end up passing us, which is never a good thing for the.
We can't let the Aussies beat us on this one.
So I think we have to start learning from them. Is really what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Unfortunately,
with this Transparency International, though, in the way that they do things, I mean, in some ways, it's not necessarily an indictment on the current government. This is a general slice at transparency and levels of corruption across the board within government agencies and in other ways as well. Are we doing things in a way which is transparent? And honestly, this is, I suppose, a key part of what you're doing with the Integrity Institute, wanting to shine a light, wanting to say, hey, these people may have a vested interests and maybe they're being given political favour. So if anything, I suppose the Integrity Institute may improve our ratings overall if you do your job well. Bryce, no pressure.
That's the task. That's the challenge. I take that on.
Yeah. Let's beat the Aussies together. Now, hey, all the best for your new role. Thank you for agreeing to continue to be a part of this program, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.